So in this video, what we're going to be doing is connecting Facebook lead ads to a voice caller using Vapi AI. The way I'm going to do this is actually sort of a simplified way. We're not going to be configuring Meta directly with n8n. We're actually going to be configuring Meta to Google Sheets. You can very seamlessly integrate Ads Manager with CRM events in your Google Sheet. I'm not going to go through how to do that. It's literally just a button when you're setting up a lead form where you can just click to send events to Google Sheets. So you would have to go and add document ID, throw the ID in there, and then sheet from list by ID, enter the ID in there. So I'm not going to go even into that too much. Vapi is the voice caller that we're going to set up to go in and call these leads that are coming in through the lead forms. So I'm just going to sign into Vapi and show you how we're going to go in and configure that voice agent. So this is going to be sort of a 3-node configuration, and just bear with me. I'm going to show you how we're going to go in and configure all these. But the first thing that you're going to have to do is create a Google Sheet and call it whatever you want. And it's just going to have headers called Assistant ID and then Vapi phone number ID. Don't put these in yet. Obviously, I'm going to show you how to go about configuring those. But then come over to Vapi. Your dashboard will look similar to this. You might have some like tutorials if you've never created anything on here. But what you're going to go in and do is create a new assistant. Call it just whatever, like YouTube. And then we're going to use lead qualification specialist. You don't have to mess with any of this for now. I'm not going to, just because all this looks good. What you would go in and do if you were setting this up for a business is change this system prompt out to include all of their data. So basically writing a system prompt on how to respond to different things. You can take this example, put it in a Claude or ChatGPT and tell it to like model it after the business that you're going for, like the business that you're setting this up for. I'll probably end up doing a video about how to like write those system prompts. One thing we are going to have to do is copy this assistant ID from up here. So just click that copy button from right there. And that's what's going to go into the assistant ID field here. And then for Vapi phone number ID, you're going to have to go to phone numbers. And if you don't have a phone number registered with Vapi, you're going to have to make one. You can make a demo number for completely free, and you can make like 10 calls to it per day. So you are going to have to copy the phone number ID, and this is going to be an outbound number. Select your assistant, which we just did. And then for the outbound phone number, we honestly should be good. And I think if we use this number, we should be fine. You should just copy this phone number ID, and then you should put that in your Google Sheet here. So now you have the assistant ID as well as the Vapi phone number ID in a Google Sheet that this n8n workflow can go and reference. So now in n8n, the next thing you're going to want to make is an HTTP request to get the agent. So you're going to use this URL right here. Just so you know, I do have the JSON downloads for this workflow. The first link in the description, it's a free school community where you can download all the JSON files. So this is going to be the configuration of like what we're pulling for the assistant ID. So that's going to be getting agent 1. And then that's just going to be generic credential type, header auth, and you are going to have to configure a credential with Vapi, which is fairly easy. The API keys on the left side, and then you'd have to add a key, and you would configure the credential that way in n8n. Nothing else needs to be changed in here besides that. And then for HTTP request 1, we are making a post request to this URL. So https api.vapi.ai/call. We're using the same credential, and then we're going to be using JSON. So now at this point, we are referencing the get rows in sheet node, and we are grabbing the phone number ID, assistant ID, number, email, name, and that is going to be pulled from either a form submission or the Google Sheet that we previously had here on the trigger, where it's going to have the phone number, the email, and the name in there. So get rows in sheet. You can see here, we're going to be just getting the rows from demo lead data and Vapi. So here's what the workflow is going to look like when it's connected. So when a new row goes into the Google Sheet, so that's just going to be new lead from a lead form. It's going to get the Vapi ID. So get Vapi. I'm actually not going to change that name just because it's referenced in the JSON here, but this is just getting the Vapi ID. So I'm just going to add a note here. So now what we have to do is configure this trigger. So I'm just going to make a new Google Sheet that's just kind of a plain sheet. And we just need name, email, phone. Should be enough. And in n8n, what we have to do is connect the name, email, and phone here. So I'm just going to grab the sheet ID from the URL here. We should be good if we go, I think would be just all that. So we're going to grab the sheet ID from there, toss that into n8n, and then the sheet would just be from list, and you should have sheet 1 and trigger on row added. So this workflow is in a trigger when a new row gets added to this sheet here. So I'm just going to make some test data. Let's do like my name. So name would be Paul. Email would be, and that is going to go right into this sheet. I'm going to set this to live just to see if this actually works. And then I'm going to set our assistant to live as well, just to make sure that this works. So that is published. So we should be good. If I were to run this workflow now, I'm just going to add this data here, turn the workflow on, and we should be good. Fetch test event. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is just execute the workflow now using that test data. So it's going to get rows and sheet, get agent, and then we can see here reference node doesn't exist. So we have an issue here just with the phone number. So let's go in. We are actually going to have to code the phone number. And I can kind of show you my process for making a code node here as well. So we can... And I'm also going to download the JSON from this workflow. So you can kind of see what it looks like to build this live with a little bit of troubleshooting. So that's what it's going to look like to troubleshoot and go in. And so we'll code that in JavaScript, put that in there. And now we can just execute the code node, and you can see that it formatted the phone number. What I have to do is actually put this code node here in between these two. And this should be good to run if we now were to execute. I'm just going to pin this data so we don't have to run that part again. Let's see. Actually, yeah, we're going to have to change the reference in here. So instead of referencing the phone number from where we were previously, we're going to grab it from the code node so that it's in the proper format. So we're just going to grab phone. And now you can see that we have the country code, which was kind of what they were getting at before. Actually, let's not do that. I'm just going to grab this, put that there, and then just delete that. That should be valid JSON. Let's see. If this works, I should get a call here in a second on my phone, and you can see it did work. So you can see I am getting a call, and let's just give it a listen.
Hello, this is Morgan from Growth Partners. We help businesses improve their operational efficiency through custom software solutions. Do you have a few minutes to chat about how we might be able to help your business?
Yeah, I do.
Great. I appreciate you taking the time. To start, could you tell me a bit about your business and the industry you're in?
Yeah, I run an AI automation agency.
Thanks for sharing that. Sounds like an exciting space to be in. What kind of systems or processes are you currently using to manage your client projects or internal operations?
We're using n8n and Go High Level to build pretty much everything out.
Got it. So you're leveraging Go High Level for most of your workflows. That's a solid platform. What would you say are the biggest challenges you're running into with your current setup?
Honestly, the biggest thing is just the fluidity of it all between team members.
I see what you mean. Smooth collaboration across team members can definitely be tricky.
So you can see like that's what you're going to get. That's a very solid output just from a super simple workflow here with literally a lead form is putting data into this trigger here. So a lead form is going to be putting data into a Google Sheet, which is our trigger, which is then feeding to an n8n workflow, coding the phone number, getting our Vapi information, so getting the Vapi assistant and phone number ID, and then getting the agent in Vapi, and then the HTTP request that we are going and making in Vapi. If you want this workflow for completely free, you can download the JSON with the first link in the description and subscribe because I'm going to be posting n8n tutorials like this one every day throughout December.